Good morning, afternoon, or evening, friend. Case Erickson here. Long time no talk. I don't know about you, but I've just been processing a lot of overwhelm, and I was had a coaching call yesterday with one of my clients, and they were experiencing the same thing, and they're on a sobriety journey, so it's their conversation is how do they process the overwhelm without drinking, without medicating, without going to the usual things to tune out. And that's one thing that I've noticed in my own sobriety journey, and is to really allow myself to check in, and coming out of religious trauma, coming out of these toxic narratives that said I was fundamentally flawed, there's something wrong with me, what I want is bad, I'm evil, all humans are evil, everything is corrupt, the earth is fallen, heaven is later. I mean, it really absolves us. I have found, or I have felt it, that narrative or that belief system absolves us from the responsibility of creating heaven on earth. Christ also said the kingdom of heaven is within, the kingdom of heaven is here and now. He also prayed to God, let them be one as you and I are one, and said, greater things shall they do than I do. So it's like, there's this dichotomy that exists right now in what I would call, religious communities or fundamentalist communities, where they've kind of taken on this notion of how to be the judge and jury of everyone. They've forgotten the love your neighbor as you love yourself. They've forgotten do unto others as you would have done unto themselves, done unto you. They have forgotten, judge not lest you be judged. They've forgotten the foundational principle of what I feel is true Christ consciousness, which is the surrender. One of the fruits of the spirit is self-control. And growing up, it was always don't touch yourself, don't have sex, don't have premarital sex, certainly don't be gay. You would just go to hell forever. It was all about like controlling your evil desires and that notion. It was never like the fruit of the spirit is self, not others control. So our spiritual practice is in letting go of the control that we perceive to have of others. Like, I don't know about you, but I can barely control myself, much less someone else. So it's borderline comical that anybody, myself included, anybody would think that they could control anybody. But it's this notion of, we don't want to surrender control. We want to have control, because in the illusion of control, we feel like, we have it under control, because we're in denial that really nothing is under our control. The only thing that we can control is our reaction and our behavior and our thoughts, our own personal way of being. And so I have reframed a lot of religious trauma, a lot of my religious narrative, a lot of the Bible story from a literal interpretation into a metaphor. And I know that a lot of religious communities, go back and forth with, applying a biblical story to life. And so there's some elements of metaphor involved, but never like, okay, this is what it would mean if the entirety of the story was a metaphor. You're the central character here to save yourself from yourself. The way that God there's this Old Testament version of us, which I feel is like our ego, right? It's jealous, it's angry, it goes into rages, it's murderous. I mean, when you look at the Old Testament God, that dude is a psychopath, right? And I can see that shadow in myself. I can see that like, oh, I need to be the Jesus version, like the New Testament version. I mean, these two people are supposedly one, right? And so it's like, I'm one, right? Like if I'm one as Christ is one, if I really take that as a possibility, it's like, oh, there's parts of me that are murderous, that are jealous, that are insecure, that are, crazy psychopathic versions of the Old Testament God, where I just want to like kill everybody except, a few people. Sidebar on that Noah story. It's like, if you really start like trying to break down that literally is painful, because it could literally never, ever happen in real life. A, B, nobody questions the fact that it's like, oh, a second round of incest, we're just going to have a family started all over again and see how it, have brothers and sisters sleeping together and mothers and sons and whatever, and just let's see how it goes. Like nobody talks about that from a literal standpoint. Anyway, I know I've been talking for a while, so I just want to leave you with this. I brought this up before. This is my Choose This Day. This is an old Promise Keepers mug that my father gave me. My father was a Southern Baptist. He had his Master's of Divinity from Dallas Baptist Theological Seminary, and he was a Marine. He wanted to be a pastor, a chaplain in the Marines. So he was, Southern Baptist through and through, black and white, heaven and hell, no gray area, very, very dogmatic, very, very legalistic. It's interesting how the church today, I feel the evangelical church, primarily the fundamentalist church, has become to me what I feel are the Pharisees from the Bible. So Jesus spoke out against the corrupt religious institution that had aligned itself with political power. It had been corrupted by power, and it had this whole agenda, and whoever didn't fit in to that agenda was kicked out, marginalized, forced out of the village, very, very similar to the way that the fundamentalists and the conservative evangelicals treat marginalized communities, treat, the gay community, treat any number of communities. It's very much like, you're over there, we're over here, you're wrong, we're right, and you're going to get it. And the irony is, many other belief religions feel the same way. You talk to a fundamentalist Muslim, and they feel the same way about Allah, like Allah is going to get you and you believe in Allah or else you're going to get it. So it's just like, are we all going to get it, or none of us going to get it, or have we already gotten it and we're here to get it? So I keep this, my father died in 2018, and in my book I go into a lot of how to reconcile a hurtful relationship with your father, to create peace within yourself, how to reconcile a hurtful relationship with God, as you perceive God, how to reconcile and bring peace to yourself with that. So I've studied a number of works and pastors and teachers before me. I wouldn't call pastors so much so as philosophers. Florence Scovel Shen, Alan Watts, Neville Goddard, a number of those have really allowed me shed some light on how to reframe the religious narrative. So one of this, it says, choose this day, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So it was always Lord Jesus, it was always like a literal Lord, right? And so it was always this thumb on our actions and what we're doing. And, you're going to go to hell unless you pray this prayer. I'm like, oh, okay, once you pray the prayer, then you're good. And then it becomes, what's your mansion in heaven going to be like? How many crowns are you going to get in your, or how many jewels are you going to get in your crown? And, it's just this constant pursuit, this performance addiction, or this fear of performing, or this fear of not being good enough, or this fear of like not measuring up. Like you're under constant surveillance under this construct. And so for me, I have reframed the Lord as the law of attraction, or the law of karmic effects. So basically, I know that whatever I put out, I will get back. This is that you reap what you sow. So the law, to me, the Lord is the law. It is non-judgmental. You will absolutely get whatever you believe you deserve. And you either believe it consciously or subconsciously. So the subconscious part is the part that really takes the work to reprogram, to put things in your mind, to reprogram any of the toxic narratives. It takes time. It's a meditation practice. It's intentional daily work. For me, it's intentional daily work of meditation, breath work, yoga, proper nutrition, proper sleep. Like I have to do a lot just to be able to human, and just to be able to, function in the world as someone who doesn't feel like the world is out to get me, or that I'm eternally damned, or that I'm going to get it, right? Because that was my narrative for so long. So when I reframed the Lord as the law of attraction, it's reliable. It's not sitting there the law of attraction is not like, oh, you sure you want that? I don't know. Like, because that requires judgment, so whatever you think about, you will bring about. Absolutely 100%. And whatever you believe, you will bring about. This is why Christ said, your faith has made you well. It's not, and this is something that I've experienced as well, being in a, recovery group, is, a beautiful thing about the 12-step program is they allow you to just create your own higher power. It's almost like what you make it is irrelevant, as compared to the relevancy and the power of it is in your belief, in your, like, I believe I'm supported. I believe in benevolence. I believe in love. I believe that, if I'm a person, a father, that I would not punish my secondborn for something that my firstborn did. Why would I believe in an invisible entity that would punish me for something that I didn't even do? Like, none of it makes sense. So I have reframed this whole context of, invisible sky grandpa, big judge of the universe, into just an unconditional loving force who is here to support me, who is here to guide me, be my guiding light, and hopefully guide you into your own light and into your own peace and into your own reconciliation of yourself. Brene Brown calls the recovery journey. She's been sober for about 25 years. She calls one of my other mentors, Wayne Dyer, he was sober for just about the same amount of time. Lots of people, celebrities, Bradley Cooper, of course, Robert Downey Jr., a number of people are starting to explore the beauty and the power and the authenticity that comes from a willingness to tap into your actual feelings, a willingness to be with the darkness, a willingness to really be that Christ character for yourself, and save yourself from yourself, and acknowledge that there are those dark parts of you that don't feel good, the past, whatever it is, as you bring together this duality, this plurality, and see, it's almost like, we did bite the apple, and we have, our eyes were open like God, and we have seen good and evil, and we bring them together as one, and we realize that we are at the center, and we have a choice in every day. We have a choice to whom we serve, what we choose to serve. If we want to choose to serve love and light and togetherness and building bridges, we have a choice to serve whether or not we're going to just serve ourselves and let everybody else go. And, one other thing I want to leave you with is Ezekiel, I want to say 16:9 or 16:49 or 11:40. Anyway, it's this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She was arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned with the poor and needy, unconcerned with the needs of the poor and needy. So you don't hear anybody talking about that as far as the church is concerned. The church is like, for some reason, concerned about who's sleeping with who. And, like from my standpoint, it's like, love is never a sin. I have defined sin as being separate, believing in the illusion that I am separate from everything and everyone. Energetically, there is no separation. Atomically, there is no separation. When you break down and you start going to a microscopic level, it's all energy. You can feel it when you get present with yourself within your own body. You can do, almost like Qigong type of exercises where you can, feel the energy. So, a sin to me is believing that I'm separate, because when you believe you're separate, that's when all the problems happen. We feel isolated, we feel disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from the world at large. But when we realize we're connected, that we're one, that everything is one, that it's just like, that's where the relief is. The relief is in that. So that's my 20-minute tangent on love and reframing religious trauma, and putting our faith in something that makes us feel good, and something that gives us peace, and something that gives us relief. If you're someone who generates relief from a literal interpretation of the Bible, and this is offended you or upset you in any way, I'm sorry, that's not my intention. It's only mine. And if your belief brings about relief for yourself, as well as does not harm anyone else, and you feel like you are an advocate for the disenfranchised and the marginalized, like Christ was, that's how you're living your life, in advocacy for the disenfranchised and the marginalized. That is, to me, what the mission of Christ was. And that's my mission. I don't know how well I fulfill it. I try my best to take every day just at face value, one day at a time. Another beautiful gift that I got from recovery. So I'm going to shut up now. I feel like I've been talking for 20 minutes. And, choose this day who you will serve. Serve the light or serve the dark, or find yourself in the middle. All right, friend, I will talk to you soon. Bye.